And then they called me and they were like, "Are you willing to talk?" And I was, this was when I was pretty much at my maddest.
Sure.
And I was like, "Yeah, yes."
Right. Looking back now, right? Looking back now at how that goes and seeing the policies and decisions, like aid got turned back on for Ukraine.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like intel sharing turned back on for Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
Things are changing. Do you kind of, I don't know, go back and, you said it, right? But do you kind of wish you could go back and change a thing or two about it, or?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there was one statement that I will kind of, I'll die on that hill. You know what I mean?
I don't know what statement you're talking about.
This particular statement, but where
Okay.
it says, just because we're family doesn't mean I'll like sit idly by. If I think you're doing something that's going to get my friends killed, I'm going to say something about it.
That's the value of a man.
Yeah. Well,
Number one.
I will, no matter what. Right. That's. I don't take that back. The useful idiots thing. I was pretty pissed off. I was pretty mad. I got to own it. I said it. But yeah, that is a product of
Right.
anger and a loss of temper and admittedly, a lack of understanding of a lot of things that are probably going on behind closed doors.
And it's funny, like when we were talking yesterday, you had said something that I was like, I completely forgot about that.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, you say it. Like when you're like,
look,
we're human beings. We're allowed to change our minds.
Yeah, well, we are. So, and it's true, right? Like one of the things, politics is pretty polarizing. Everybody's going to try to find something to, pick you apart or use, right?
Sure.
Twist, spin, and do all that stuff. But one of the things that the electorate does that's bad is we malign politicians for changing their minds. Mm-hmm. But that's actually the sign of critical thinking.
Weird, isn't it?
Yeah, like if you're just going to parrot what somebody else says or never change your mind, you're not a critical thinker.
You're an idiot.
That's not how it works, right?
If you 100% align with somebody else's views, you're an idiot.
100, yeah.
You are not using your own brain.
Correct.
You and me are never going to see eye to eye on 100% of subjects. Let's talk about marriages, for example.
Yeah.
Right?
You love that person and you argue with them all the time.
Your best friend in life, and you love them to death. Yeah. And you mean to tell me that your best friend, your soulmate, you don't see eye to eye with, and yet for some reason a politician you can see eye to eye with.
Batting 1,000 for thinking like you think. Yeah, you're a moron.
Out of here.
So, we're allowed to change our mind. I'm allowed to change my mind. JD said some unsavory things about the guy that he works for right now. Right?
Surprise.
He changed his mind.
Right.
Right. I don't know. I don't know what evidence was produced that made him change his mind. It's none of my business because it's his decision. You know what I mean? But
it's almost like he's a grown man allowed.
But he's an adult allowed to do what he wants, right? Yeah. So, and you're allowed to say something and then be like, hey, now I saw some new evidence that shows me that that's maybe not correct. You should actually be praised for coming out and saying, hey, I saw this. I thought 2 + 2 was 5 my whole life, and then somebody came out and showed me that 2 + 2, equals 4.
Okay.
Yeah, well, yeah, math for Marines, you know what I mean? But 2 + 2 is 4, and then you're like, oh, well, now I know, and it's better that I'm willing to change my mind as opposed to just being stubborn and pounding your, So don't get married to your ideas or your maybe emotional outburst comments, right?
Yeah.